Hello everyone, Subhadra. And in the first part, I had talked to you about how Subhadra was kidnapped and when she was leaving, when her husband, her captor, was on the chariot taking her away from Dwarka, Subhadra had finally taken on the reins of the chariot and they sped away from Dwarka. Now comes Indraprastha. Indraprastha is a beautiful palace which has been a trigger for the huge Kurukshetra war. Indraprastha is this palace where the Pandavas stay. Arjun was returning to Indraprastha after a very long exile. And in Indraprastha, Pandavas, of course, Kunti and Draupadi, they stay in Indraprastha. Subhadra now will be meeting her in-laws for the first time. Along with her in-laws, she will also have to meet Draupadi. So as Subhadra enters Indraprastha, she is welcomed with open arms by Kunti, by all the other Pandavas, because this is a fantastic alliance. Subhadra is a very, very beautiful woman. Everything just falls into place. So she's accepted. But there's nowhere Draupadi is to be found. Draupadi is not even there in the welcoming ceremony. Nowhere. Arjun looks around for Draupadi and decides to go and visit his first wife. After a while, Arjun comes back a little dejected. On asking, Subhadra gets to know that Draupadi has told Arjun that why have you come to my room? Go to your new wife. Why are you even coming to spend time with me? Justifiable. She's meeting her husband after a long time, and she gets to know that her husband has brought in a new wife. Absolutely justifiable. Subhadra does something which is sort of, it takes a different kind of a character to be so humble. What Subhadra does is, Subhadra stands on Draupadi's doorstep and tells Draupadi that, Didi, can I come in? So the first address, Didi, of course, but she's the eldest queen, so it's but natural to call her Didi. One can understand that. But what is so, I would say, shocking is Subhadra enters Draupadi's room in ordinary plain clothes, in ordinary clothes of a gopini, cotton clothes, no jewelry, no bridal finery, nothing. Through her outfit, through the way she was dressed up, Draupadi got the message that Subhadra was trying to give to her, that I have not come to challenge your position. I have not come here to make you insecure. All I want is a comfortable relationship between the both of us. And Draupadi got the message. And Draupadi's reaction was immediately to hug Subhadra and also tell her that from today onwards, your husband is not going to have any enemy. Which basically meant that Draupadi accepted the fact that Arjun is both of their husband. It was a beautiful relationship that Draupadi and Subhadra shared throughout Mahabharata. They never had a fight, and Subhadra really used to rely on Draupadi. Let me take you to the next part, which is Subhadra as a mother. Subhadra was the mother of Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu, the great warrior, the husband of Virat Nandini Uttara, and someone on whom all the Pandavas relied on. They loved him. He was also Draupadi's favorite. So it's a very popular story, but I would like to say this because if I'm talking about Subhadra, I have to talk about this story. Arjun and Subhadra, they were lying on bed, and Arjun was telling Subhadra about the techniques of entering and exiting the ring of soldiers, the ring of warriors, which was created by the Kauravas. It was called the Chakravyuha. Chakravyuha meant 7 strong warriors would form a ring. And one has to really be a war strategist to get inside that Chakravyuha, fight the warriors and come out of that Chakravyuha. Arjun was telling Subhadra about this. Now, I don't know, it somehow struck me. Yes, all the other women in Mahabharata, there are a lot of women in Mahabharata who are really strong. Men are strong and they fight, there's war and all that. But never have I seen, at least I don't know about any anecdote where a king or a prince is discussing war strategies with his wife. And that, so it gives me a feeling that number one, Subhadra and Arjun had a very nice relationship where somewhere there was an equality where they can discuss their work, number one. Number two, I just felt that Subhadra also knew the ways, knew war strategies, because you wouldn't try to explain something which is absolutely Greek to somebody else, isn't it? You will only explain things if the other person gets a hang of it. So I just felt that this was kind of interesting where Arjun talks about the Chakravyuha to Subhadra. Subhadra listens. And when Arjun was talking about how to exit the Chakravyuha, Subhadra goes off to sleep. Years pass. Subhadra has a son who is Abhimanyu. And now the Kurukshetra battle is there. Arjun was missing. In some other work, he was busy. So they needed someone to enter the Chakravyuha, which was formed by the Kauravas. Great warriors were there. Karna was there. Everybody, Dronacharya, everybody was there in that. All the great warriors were right in that Chakravyuha. Abhimanyu says that he knows how to get inside the Chakravyuha. And how did Abhimanyu know? Because none of the Pandavas knew how to get inside the Chakravyuha. So who would do it? Abhimanyu says, I know. So what had happened was, Subhadra was pregnant when Arjun was telling her the technique of how to enter the Chakravyuha. Abhimanyu, while he was in the womb, had heard the story. So he said, I know. And the Pandavas and everyone, Krishna, everyone sent him to fight that war. Abhimanyu, like a true warrior, gets inside the Chakravyuha, fights and, really, really gives his blood to fight these warriors. But he gives his blood a bit too much, because Abhimanyu did not know how to come out of the Chakravyuha. Remember, Subhadra had gone off to sleep. And Abhimanyu was inside the Chakravyuha, yes. He was fighting, yes. But after a point of time, he was getting tired. And while he was getting tired, one arrow after another was piercing his heart. And slowly, Abhimanyu fell to the ground and he died. So when Subhadra, who has always been this very quiet, soft, adjusting woman, when she hears that her son has died, this time she is beside herself of grief. She goes into a time lapse. She starts telling Abhimanyu that, come to my breasts, let me feed you, my baby. I mean, she's constantly, she's in a state where she's getting into a time lapse. Then after a point of time, she's so angered. This woman whom we've never heard of really raising her voice, someone who could wear plain clothes, give up her ego to kind of adjust with Draupadi, tells Bhim that I hate your strength. I hate your strength because you could not save my son. Tells Arjun, who's the love of her life, tells Arjun that I hate your archery. Because your archery could not save my son. Today this is my son who's lying dead. And suddenly Subhadra was just a ball of fire and a ball of grief. It was again Draupadi, with whom she had a beautiful relationship. It was Draupadi who finally could control her, hugged her, and kind of calmed her down. Years pass again. Not really years, a few months pass again. And now Subhadra has to again take charge of the situation. Abhimanyu's wife, Uttara, at that time was pregnant. And time has come for Uttara to give birth. Whole of Hastinapur was very happy because the Kuru line is going to be carried on. All 5 sons of Draupadi were dead in the battle. Abhimanyu was dead. The only hope was this child who's going to be born of Uttara. And Subhadra was all out trying to take care of this new girl who had just been married for 6 months, who's pregnant and who lost her husband in the war. So Subhadra was busy taking care. And whole of Hastinapur was waiting in anticipation for the prince or the princess who's going to arrive. Of course, being the way things were at that point of time, they were of course waiting for a prince. Uttara gives birth. And when Uttara gives birth, there is excitement, but after the birth, there is a pall of gloom in the whole of Hastinapur. Because Uttara has given birth to a stillborn baby boy. Which meant Subhadra's dream of seeing her grandchild was dashed. Kuru line cannot be carried on. And suddenly, this woman Subhadra became someone else. She was so committed and she so knew that she wanted the grandchild that she finally goes to her brother Krishna. Till now, just imagine, this woman, when she was kidnapped, she did not say one word. Instead, she assisted her husband to get out of Dwarka. She handled her son's death, but now the grandchild is also born dead. And Subhadra finally goes to Krishna, the brother whom she really, really loved, and the brother who loved her. She goes and tells Krishna that, what about this now? You can't do this to me. I have lost my son in the battle. I didn't say a word. I have taken everything. I just didn't say a word. I have lost Draupadi's sons. I didn't protest. But now, when people are saying that Krishna, you can do miracles, you can do things, you can create magic, then now create magic. And Subhadra says, this time I don't want to listen to anything. Breathe life into this baby boy. And they say, so you take it in whichever way you want to. So Krishna lifts the little baby boy and breathes into his mouth. Now, for me, it almost looked like those mouth-to-mouth resuscitation that the doctor does. So when it's described like that he lifts the baby boy and he breathes into his mouth, and then suddenly the little baby starts crying. And yes, Subhadra could finally find her grandchild alive again. And this is what Subhadra is, very, very committed to whatever she wants to do. When she got into the chariot, she knew that now I have to get away from this kingdom, Dwarka, because I've anyway been kidnapped. Might as well adjust. This woman decided to adjust and surrender to Draupadi. I'm fine, I'm ready to take your dominance. Great. But when it came to her son, for the first time we saw her anger, saw her grief. And finally, when it was the grandchild, Subhadra just kind of went all out to get what she wanted. To that extent, Subhadra, why I'm saying that most probably she knew administration strategies and most probably, she knew war strategies, that when finally the Pandavas and Draupadi, when they left for their journey towards eternity, heaven or whatever, they left the administration. Of course, Parikshit would be the next king. Of course, he became a very, very powerful king. But the the caretaker administrator of that whole kingdom of Hastinapur was actually handled by Subhadra. So for a very long time, Subhadra was the administrator of Hastinapur, of course, with Parikshit being the face of it. So that's Subhadra. Apparently, like so many women, she comes across as very calm, very soft, very shy, but when she wants what she wants, she goes all out. And maybe that's why I like Subhadra so much. So yes, that's Subhadra for you. It was a long video. I hope you enjoy watching this.